Okay. Why do FPS games suck now? Let's see what Exile has to say. I'm curious. I love talking about FPS games. I love playing FPS games. Let's see what he's got to say.
I've been playing multiplayer FPS games longer than I haven't. I started with Halo
Dang.
2 and with games like Halo 3 and Black Ops 2. I love
Same.
those games.
Bro, for me, it wasn't Halo 2 and 3 was not the first FPS games I played. I think the first ones that I played had to have gone back even further. I think it was either 007 GoldenEye on N64 or one of the was it Medal of Honor on PlayStation 1? I think it was Medal of Honor on PlayStation 1. Some of those games, and then subsequently like the Call of Duties and whatnot, and then eventually into Halo 1, 2, 3. But yeah, I mean, FPS games are like, I just been playing them for a while.
With Halo 3 giving me the chance to have decent aim over the years, and then Black
Nice.
Ops 2 being the first and only Call of Duty that I hit Prestige Master within. I slowly got into games like Battlefield, future Call of Duty.
Congrats, hitting Prestige Master. I don't remember what prestige I got in was it Black Ops 2? That one was so good. I can't remember. I don't know how many hours I sunk into that game. So many.
Releases and CSGO. CS became one of the biggest game addictions that I had for quite a while that I played over the years. During all of this, I started disconnecting from the multiplayer FPS genre.
Bro, I never got into Counter-Strike because I just was too intimidated. When you're a little kid and you don't like your family don't got a lot of money, trying to get a PC, and even at minimum a PC that can run like video games back in the day is just so daunting because it's like, where do I buy one? Is my computer good enough? Can it be a gaming PC back in the day? I remember, what was it? I had like somebody's hand-me-down computer, and how we had internet is that we like constantly kept trying to, or I renewed like the little AOL discs to have like internet. And then eventually I was like, hey mom, can I bring this to like a PC repair shop guy? She's like, yeah, sure. She's like, what do you want to do with it? It's like, I want to turn it into a gaming PC. This is like me, like as a super young kid, because whatever. I brought it to the PC repair dude, and I was like, I'm like carrying the dang thing, like hi. He's like, what's wrong with? He's like, hi son, what's wrong with your PC? It's like, nothing. Do you think it's kind of running really slow? Do you think I can turn it into like a gaming PC? And then the guy just looked at me and like kind of snickered and he's like, well, I don't know. Judging by the outside, I don't think this computer will ever be a gaming PC. And then when he said that, my heart fucking just dropped. So I was like, okay, thanks anyway. And then, we like talked back and forth and whatnot for a little bit, and then we left, and I was like so distraught. I was like, god damn it. And yeah, for a long time afterwards, I was like a console bro for a while.
From issues around gameplay changes, heavy focuses on monetization, and games becoming more and more focused on competitive play. The game that broke my heart within this genre was Destiny 2. It's a prime example of a lot of the issues that I'm going to be mentioning throughout this video. So grab a cup of tea, join me in discussing if FPS games suck now, or if we grew out of the genre.
Ooh, let's
Just before
see.
we do though, make sure to go check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel direct.
I know of Destiny 2, but I haven't actually. I think I played like a little bit, but then I was like so fucking bombarded by I was like off put by the sheer amount of content. It was kind of like World of Warcraft, like a new player jumping into World of Warcraft. You know how there's like, they see all those expansions that there's like all this content to. It's like, holy shit, do I gotta play all that? It's like, no, not really. You could just like speed level to like end game and like go to the latest expansion. But I was like, well, if I'm paying $15 a month and I just bought the new expansion and then I get bored, could I theoretically go back and play through all those expansions and all that content? Well, yeah. It's gonna take you a long time, but yeah. I felt that same way about Destiny 2. And I think, isn't it in Destiny 2, like, or just the Destiny brand, like, the main thing that gets peddled is like the raids are just like so good and top notch and whatnot. So it's like I was like a solo player, and if like the main sell for Destiny is like the raids and how good they are, well then, well I'm like SOL if I want to do raids and shit. So I was just like, whatever, fuck it.
And get early access to content like this, input on future videos, and behind the scenes of these videos. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you like long-form video essay content like this, where I talk about games and topics within the gaming world. And if you want to join a group of people who love games from all over the place, make sure to come check out the Discord down below. I host a monthly game club as well. This month, voted in was Minecraft, so if you want to join us in talking about and playing some Minecraft and revisiting it, make sure to come join the Discord down below. Now though, let's jump into what pushed me and many others away from the FPS gaming genre.
Let me see.
Growing up, I didn't play a lot of FPS games until I was around 9 or 10. Before that, I mainly played games like Pokemon, Animal Crossing, and Simpsons Hit and Run. I would watch my siblings.
That's about the same for me.
Play different games, but it was rarely an FPS title. This is probably one of the reasons why I've always loved games that aren't an FPS title, as when growing up, I didn't really play too many of them within that early first 10 years. However, I would be lying if I said that I didn't love a lot of FPS games later on. With the first ones being Halo 2 and Halo 3. I didn't play tons of Halo 2, but Halo 3 was the first FPS game I truly dived into.
Nice.
I really enjoyed playing that.
And that's a good game to be like your first FPS game.
Game, and it helped.
Well, not like, not like your first, but like your first one you try hard in.
Off my aim, especially on console. The reason that I say this is because I feel as if my aim today on consoles anyway is pretty good, primarily because with Halo 3 you're relying solely on your hipfire capabilities. So when you transfer that over to Call of Duty, it just feels as if your aim is so much better because you are a bit more precise with every single shot. But that could just be a load of waffle.
Okay, on the load of waffle thing, so you said you're a console player, so I would be curious to try to figure out how much aim assist was in Halo 3 and how much aim assist was in, like a lot of subsequent, what do you call it, like Call of Duties. I don't actually know the percentage. I mean, me myself, I've played all the fucking old Halos and a lot of the old Call of Duty, so I'm kind of in the same vein. I don't know how like my fucking KD in a lot of these games was like around 1, so it is what it is. But I would try to figure out and quantify like how much aim assist was in those games versus did my KD in a lot of those games go up or down. I mean, yes, you can have like a basic core understanding of like the basics of like aiming and shit like that, but I can't help but I want to see like how much aim assist like comes into effect, and like how different your experience is with different levels of aim assist, if there was in any of those games. If they're all about the same, well then it doesn't matter.
Black Ops 2 was the next game that I really fell in love with and built my love for Call of Duty as a franchise. I definitely think COD has done a lot wrong within this genre today. But when you're
but yeah, bro, when COD 2 or Black Ops 2 dropped, this was back when I was working at CC's Pizza. What was it? Was it Modern Warfare 3 and then Black Ops 2? Or was it Black Ops 2 then Modern Warfare 3? I forgot, but whatever. Yeah, those years of me working at CC's like when I was like just out of high school, and almost everybody at my job played Call of Duty. So when it was so fun, and I look back at it and it's like I hated the fucking job because whatever, it's a fucking job. But the guys that I worked with were so cool because, they all liked the same things that I liked. So I was like, oh, we go to work, talk about fucking video games and Call of Duty, and then, I get off work and then we just all jump on Call of Duty and shoot the shit. It was cool.
Looking back at those times of playing these games, they were some of the best you were getting. We had some amazing maps, and we also had zombies at its peak. And on top of that, we also had an amazing campaign. This was the Call of Duty that...
Yeah, because back in the day, Call of Duty, like, when I thought Call of Duty, I thought really good campaign first, and then really good multiplayer second. Now, in, like, modern day, it's, like, the reverse. Is the multiplayer good? First of all, yes or no, and then you can check that box, and then after that comes the question: okay, well, is the campaign good? Well, yes or no, or does it even matter? Is the third option.
That had everything going for it, and over time that was eroded away. The reason that I'm bringing these games up is that I'd like to point out that I do believe that some of these games are the amazing parts of the FPS genre. They carved a way for the format of what the modern day FPS landscape looks like.
Oh my god, is this like original Warzone?
But I also know that a lot of this is probably clouded in nostalgia. Black Ops 2 an objectively better game in the core gunplay in comparison to something like Modern Warfare 3 that we got very recently? Probably not. However, it sure did everything well enough. Normally the saying, a jack of all trades is a master of none, would be fitting for a lot of games. But this game definitely did the jack of all trades part really well. As the modern day shooter market always struggles in understanding how to have everything be good enough that everything just fits in place, and Black Ops 2 was able to master this perfectly. Was the gunplay perfect? No, but there was such great elements of everything that made the whole experience amazing.
I'd be curious to see if each of these old, Call of Duty games went under all of the same level of scrutiny as modern day shooting games. Because you know how like every YouTube channel is just like, there's like a try-hard channel. It's like, this is the best loadout for this is the best loadout for that. And they get into all the nitty-gritty of like frame data, fastest reload speed. This gun shoots like a beam. There's no recoil in this gun. And I wonder if a lot of these old nostalgic Call of Duty games would, if they were to undergo that same level of scrutiny today, because like back in the day, like nobody, the internet wasn't as prevalent as it is today. Do you think these old games would still stand the test of time, or would they just crumple under the sheer amount of criticisms that people give modern day shooters?
Over time though, I grew apart from the FPS genre for two primary reasons. One of the reasons is that I just didn't enjoy the releases coming out. I found that they were either becoming too competitive or that the gameplay loop of jetpacking around. The other reason though, and I've noticed this with...
Yeah, the jetpack era of Call of Duty. Well, that's because... that's because Titanfall came out, and the main dudes that made like the original Call of Duties left and made their own studio, and then they made Titanfall. And Titanfall movement was like astounding. And then Call of Duty was like, oh, this is what players want. Meanwhile, it's like, no. The FPS bros that wanted Titanfall-like movement went, diverged from Call of Duty and played that game. To try to shoehorn in Titanfall movement into a Call of Duty is just silly to me. Because they saw the success of that, and they saw that some level of players left, and they went to go play Titanfall. But meanwhile, they forgot about their core audience that likes boots on the ground gameplay. And, what was it? For 2 or 3 games? It was like the jetpack era of Call of Duty. And not a lot of people, it's very mixed reviews anytime I hear people talk about the jetpack era of Call of Duty. If you like that type of movement with jetpacks and wall running, go play Titanfall. If you like Call of Duty type gameplay, just play Call of Duty. Don't try to, it's I don't know, it's good and bad to try to evolve your core gameplay, but I don't know, you kind of, whenever you experiment on your core audience, it's like you could turn them into not liking the IP, but look what we have today with modern Call of Duty and Warzone. It's primarily just boots on the ground, slide canceling. So that's what people like.
others, and I've mentioned within other videos, and you guys seem to find it relatable, is the anger that these games can cause. A meme that is prevalent online is how much better your life becomes when you stop playing online games, and I agree
Really?
99% of the time. Most of the time, your life is a lot better when the only games that you're playing are the single-player story types, where you either get a game that has a load of love put into its gameplay mechanics, or it's got an outrageously good story. However,
Well, I mean, you said gameplay mechanics and story for single player games. You don't think they undergo like any modern shooting game? You don't think they undergo like an insane level of scrutiny in like the core gameplay mechanics, the physics, the ballistics and whatnot for each FPS game? I mean, there is an audience of people that likes just, core mechanics and like aiming and whatnot. So, I mean, to say that like, oh, your life gets better when you stop playing, I mean, I don't know. It depends, because like when I was like balls deep in my 3,000 hours of Apex, like trying to like solo queue and grind for like master rank or whatever as a solo queue, it was just, I mean, honestly, I would probably agree with you, but my mindset was different back then. If I were to maybe do it now, I'd probably have like a healthier mindset. I mean, I think it really depends on your mindset.
1% with the likes of Helldivers 2, Warzone during lockdown, and what I class as the feel-good game genre. And that would be the games like Minecraft, Animal Crossing, or Stardew Valley. All of these games are what I classify as the gambling issue within the online genre. This issue is something that I think is prevalent across the whole of the multiplayer gaming genre, but
Well, here's what I think about that. So let's say you like playing video games. You know how like World of Warcraft has like different slots for armor or whatever? I kind of view gaming as like you have different slots and different genres that you like. So let's say I like an MMO. There's a bunch of different MMOs, but the one I'm playing currently will be some game. And then that same gamer will have a favorite shooting game that they like to play. Maybe they bounce back between like some MMO and some shooter. And then you'll have like maybe some single player game that you like and that you're working on like recently. And then you can have like a different favorite game in each type of genre that you can be working on. You don't have to be like a one trick pony. Whenever you play video games, you can dabble a little bit in everything.
I think this is really true within the FPS titles, and I wouldn't be surprised if what I'm about to say resonates with you in some way. You will know either yourself or that friend who's been playing for hours on end, and it would appear on a surface that they're having a great time. They've been playing this game for 6 hours, and then you realize that they aren't even having a good time. They maybe crack a smile once or twice over that entire time period. You're playing a game and you know you aren't really enjoying it, but it isn't completely awful. You've had a good time at points, and because of that, you continue to play, hoping that those good times come back. This is something that I would class as something similar to gambling, and for me, it's something that I've noticed more specifically within the FPS genre as a whole. Now, I wanted to spend some time and focus on anger around these games just for a moment, which is because this genre of games seems to bring it out the most for me personally, and if you've been in a lobby of these games, you'll completely understand just how much anger these things induce. And I'm going to mention this later on.
And I am no stranger to these feelings either. I am not a saint by any means.
In the video. The issues I'm going to be talking about today contain connections to this exact part, which is the competitive side of this genre and generally bad changes to the overall games we love. However, even with all of this, I've realized over time that I wanted to come back to this genre, as I had been disconnected for such a long time, but with that, I felt as if I was still disconnected. So that's what we're going to be exploring in today's video. The disconnect that I've been feeling for these games, why it's happening, and how we might be able to get back into this genre or see changes in a way that is made that actually benefit us as the players. So let's dive deep and start off by talking about the issue that you guys said was the biggest one of all, which is cheating.
Oh boy. I think cheating is an issue in all FPS, especially one that comes out and is just like recently, just came out, because you don't really know how well the anti-cheat system is like established. So if a new shooting game comes out, you can bet your bippy that the cheats are going to be out on the same day.
Cheating is an issue within gaming. However, I personally think that in most circumstances, it's blown up to be a way bigger issue than people believe it to be. Before I get into my own experience around cheating and my opinion on cheating within games, I'm also going to be throwing things like cheesing in a game or doing anything outside of the game's core gameplay mechanics that give you an edge in some scummy way as cheating. So let's talk about these issues.
I'm kind of curious on what he thinks what cheesing is.
And why in the modern FPS market people think that this is a big issue. To talk about this, I'm going to use some of the most notorious games within the FPS genre for cheating and issues.
It's going to be literally any FPS game, really, or at least any relevant FPS game.
Like it. So we've got CSGO, Warzone, specifically Quarantine Warzone, and Rainbow Six. All of these games have had notorious cheating issues, and some have been overblown in my opinion. Let's talk about one of the biggest examples of what happens when you stop helping your player base fight against the issue of cheating within their game, which is Warzone. What I would like to preface this with, however, is that Warzone was in a unique position. It was a game that was able to take full advantage of the fact that everyone was trapped indoors, so it had a massive player base to deal with, and, you know,
back in the pandemic days,
a lot of work on its hands due to that player count. Because of that, we did end up with a higher influx of cheaters, most likely, just because of how, you know, numbers will be skewed, because the more people who play, the more chances you're going to run into cheaters. During my time playing Warzone, the two reasons I had to stop playing was that every third game, it felt as if you were either going into an issue where the game was breaking, you could just fall through the floor, everything was ridiculously shiny and made it really hard to see, or you just get sniped from across the map by someone who has aim assist on.
Bro, let me see. Do I still have a picture that I took in like early Warzone days? Let me see. Maybe. No, come on. No, I have to have it. No. Okay, yep, I have it. I think this was a picture back in early Warzone. Yeah. This is yeah. There's no filters being applied. This was in the game. And you could tell by like right down here it says Warzone. And yeah. This is a whole different level of stupid.
So maybe you got one game where everything was running smoothly. However, you also needed to hope that your teammates didn't run into any of these issues, which made it almost unplayable. You also had the added layer that the game didn't have an actual anti-cheat software running, which is insane. Now,
oh yeah, there was no anti-cheat system. Like, they said they had one, but no, they didn't. Oh my god.
Wouldn't be surprised if they did have some.
I think Warzone was the main reason I just stopped caring about Call of Duty. 100%.
Form of anti-cheat. However, you can't actually find anywhere online that confirms if they did have one within the game, which I wouldn't be surprised based off how prevalent the cheating issues were at that point of time. However, it definitely wasn't acting on the same level as something like BattlEye, for example. When you have a game that is as popular as Warzone was and doesn't have an adequate anti-cheat to run, you have people like Vicstar who stopped playing the game, who at the time was one of the best players within the game across the board, who left because of the cheating issues. CSGO is one of the games that I think is incredibly interesting. However, if I'm honest, I've hardly experienced any cheating ever since CS2 launched and for a long time within CSGO.
Well, here's the thing with cheats. Cheats are so sophisticated nowadays, you could have seemingly no idea that you could be getting cheated on with how complex these cheats are. Anytime you're playing an online like FPS multiplayer game, it always comes, that question in your head always comes to mind. Is that guy just better than me, or did I get cheated on? That's always a question. You would hope that your favorite shooting game developer has like some sort of level of anti-cheat system in there, but in the case for Warzone, Jesus, it was just bad. But I mean, CS2 seems to have like, uh, like in the early days of CS2. I mean, it seems that they were like, I don't even play CS2, but I just don't enjoy the gameplay. But I mean, if everyone's saying that if there's an issue with cheaters, then I mean, you got to say something.
A long time ago, they brought in a feature that made it easier to catch cheating with different set of player bases between new and old players. Yes, cheating still happens, but in my experience and based on a lot of streamers and content creators, it doesn't seem like anywhere near as big of an issue as some people like to make it out to be. However, the cheats that people deal with are what makes these issues as prevalent within their mind. You have people using toggle, aim assist, and spin botting, which can cause really awful experiences for many players, especially when you don't have an authorized account. As I said, they brought in this feature that meant that you had to have played for a certain amount of time and spent some form of money on your Valve account to prove your existence as an actual human being and that you aren't just, you know, basically smurfing or using other accounts and whatnot.
Oh, dang.
So that people couldn't just go into a normal lobby with other people with the same sort of rank and get caught cheating. It basically just made it a little bit harder and a little bit more friction to get into playing against other players who, you know, were just here to have a good time and not be in a game full of cheaters. Which then builds a massive misconception about this game. It's put off a lot of players, and in my opinion, it's something that isn't as true as some people like to make it out to be.
I mean, I just don't play CS2 because I don't enjoy the gameplay. That's like, I don't enjoy playing the gameplay. Like, it's okay to watch, but as far as playing it, it's like, no thanks.
Especially when you aren't, you know, in that section where you haven't authorized your account fully. So I do think there is an issue of people thinking that that is the standard CSGO experience. Rainbow Six is a game that handled cheating in a really good manner, in my opinion. The game still has its issues, and sadly isn't as good as it used to be. But when it comes to handling cheating, Matalai stands out as one of the best anti-cheats around.
Oh, that's
used
good.
within games like PUBG, Fortnite, Destiny 2, and many more. Because of this, Fortnite R6 and Destiny 2 don't have rampant cheating issues that cause people to have no interest in their games.
Yeah, it's good to not have like a lot of cheaters in there, but you're not gonna ever completely like 100% get rid of all cheaters because it's constantly always gonna be a cat and mouse game of, you know, people make cheats. The anti-cheat catches them. People make new cheats to get around that anti-cheat system. They update the system. They catch that one. They update the cheats. They update the anti-cheat. And it's just, it's a rapid circle. It goes on and on. But, I mean, if, you know, BattleEye is doing a good job of preventing a lot of cheaters, well then, good.
Something like CSGO back in the day and Warzone, especially when it first came out, had these issues, and that's what ended up bringing people to have bad experiences throughout those games' existence and got put off from experiencing them ever again. Cheating, though, is only an issue due to one main reason, which is that it ruins the experience for other players. I'm someone that a lot of people wouldn't like within the world of cheating and cheesing, as I personally absolutely hate it whenever anyone does anything like it within games that I'm playing, no matter who it is. It could be my friend doing it in some like harmless manner that doesn't really matter. I just find it incredibly infuriating, as in my opinion, it takes away from the fun of the game.
Yeah.
It could be that one friend who decides to put themselves into creative, for example, when you're in a Minecraft survival realm. Or someone that uses spots to glitch
I have no idea of that reference.
out of the map so that you're in unhittable spots within boss raids within Destiny.
Oh, that's kind of cheesing. That's what he means by cheesing. I'd probably agree with him.
The reason all of this annoys me in particular is that it takes away the fun from the game, and then it takes away from the accomplishment of the player for completing those things. Destiny 2 is a great example of this. We'd have moments where people wanted to do raids right away, and instead of being patient and learning it through trial and error, or watching those tutorials of how to do it properly and then learning them ourselves, people would try and find the easiest path to victory. They would be on Reddits and learning how to do things where you can just cheese the boss so it's easy to do without any issue. This is linked to another idea that I mentioned within a previous video.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to a massive amount of players and them trying to accomplish a goal, players just in general will always take the path of least resistance to that goal. No one is trying to get to their goal in the hardest way possible. You know, save like I don't know, like speedrunners doing like a challenge specific speed run. Most people, to get to their desired goal, will take the path of least resistance. And that is true.
Video, which is left unchecked, players will optimize the fun out of the game. And the reason why people were doing this is because they believe that if they do this, then they'll be able to get access to those things that they believe that they want, which then takes all the purpose away from playing the game in the first place. Both ruin the fun for the players that are just along for the ride, and also the ones that you're up against, but at some point it will remove the fun for the person doing it as well. Even with those things, I would say that cheating itself isn't as big of a deal as people like to make it out to be in the mass majority of games.
Yeah, for the majority part of a lot of FPS games, cheating isn't really an issue. I would say once you reach like the upper, I don't know, 5% of, I don't know, at least like competitive multiplayer games, then you can know, you can start to question people's validity in these statements.
Does cheating happen? Yes, of course it does, but
Yeah.
it isn't ruining every single game we play. A lot of players either get jaded by that early stage of vetting processes that games use. For example, Rainbow Six uses the level 50 requirement to stop smurfing and cheating, because it just makes it a little bit more of an unbearable process if you really just want to smurf or cheat within the game. And because of that, when you're playing those casual matches,
Yeah, I also would agree with him in that smurfing is stupid. If you are a high level player, you have some options to play the game. You can either go into the ranked mode of your game and play the game that way, or go into the public version, the public match version of your game mode. And most games nowadays have like some sort of skill-based matchmaking thing, or like at least maybe a soft version of it. And you're going to be met with people of your similar hidden MMR, and that's just the life you live. That's just, it is what it is. Hopefully your favorite game would have like some sort of like maybe casual party mode of some sort of like, I don't know, like some sort of like non-serious game mode, but with like no skill-based matchmaking. But a lot of these like games that I'm seeing like don't really have that. I mean, some of them might. I'd have to like look through again, but like you don't always want to be going 0 to 60 in 0.1 seconds. In a lot of these, you don't want to always be like sweating your balls off all the time in a lot of these like public matches, or like, I don't know, private or like party mode matches. Like if you want to sweat your balls off and try hard, go to the ranked mode of your game. But if you want to chill out, then do something else, play a different game. Yeah, just do that.
matches, you may think that that experience from level 0 to 50 is what the actual comp experience of the game is, when the reality is, it's nowhere close to that. For CS, I do believe that it's an issue that cropped up a lot more than it does nowadays, and in a way, it turned into some myth about the game that every single player points to all the time, and they'll always point to the idea that their person was cheating when they get lucky headshots sprayed, or that the player was just better than them. Instead of just admitting these things, they go straight for the idea that they are cheating, because it's such a myth within the CS community.
And it's like an easy out to just be like, that guy's cheating. That guy's got walls. He said he strafed out and like lined the shot up before I even knew what to do. It's just an easy out.
One thing that typically stays very...
And so essentially the whole cheating aspect, why FPS games are bad, this is just one example of the player. I don't know. I won't say anything.
consistent with FPS types is the gameplay. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of old COD games look the same as they do now, but with graphical changes. However, this isn't always a good thing. The only time that I believe it's an okay thing to do is when your entire sole purpose is being a competitive game, as this allows there to be a structure in the baseline of how the skill gap works, and how players can become more skilled at certain mechanics and map knowledge. With the likes of CSGO being a prime example of that. They didn't need to change their game very much over the course of 10 years.
Right.
However, the reason why CS even changed in the first place and took steps to make any form of changes was because of the hype around Valorant. That game was one of the only games to truly come along and attempt to compete with CS directly.
Yeah.
With similar...
And I think Valorant is doing a fantastic job competition breeds excellence. If you got like a monopoly on your industry or your favorite genre, well then, and you play that one single game, then you're not gonna probably expect a lot of changes from that genre. But if you have a favorite genre and then another genre pops up and it's like starting to pop off, it's like, oh shit, we got competition. We better start changing our shit a little bit to make it more appealing. It's just it's inevitable.
Looking gun mechanics, map knowledge requirements, and utility usage, but with a flair of Overwatch and the MOBA style hero system. The reason that I want to talk about gameplay changes is that this seems to be the true fine line of this genre. Yes, I have many other things to talk about, but at the fundamental core, I believe that the gameplay changes, or lack thereof, are the cause of massive issues within this genre. The game that
Depending on what he's going to talk about, I would probably agree with him, because a lot of the times, if you're looking at video games as a whole and then you break it down into genres and see like the different kinds of like gameplay changes, FPS gameplay has undergone probably the fewest like evolutionary gameplay changes. Yes, there are some games that, you know, push the boundaries, you know, like Doom Eternal or something like that, or like Titanfall with their movement. And also like shooting games like roguelikes, like Crab Champions, or was it Risk of Rain? Like those type of shooting games, like, you know, push the boundaries in terms of like gameplay. But as far as multiplayer FPS games go, you know, like relevant one, I mean, I think Fortnite did try to do a good job, you know, with adding a whole building component, but like it's a whole nother level of skill that the mass amount of people do not simply enjoy. That's why no build, like they came out with no build again, and Fortnite started to become more relevant again. But yeah, as a whole, the core gameplay of shooting games, or at least FPS or third person, it just hasn't changed. You have gun, you have reticle, put reticle on guy, shoot guy. That's it. That's every FPS game ever.
that I'm going to bring up as a fine example of this is from Call of Duty, and specifically the lack of changes that led to way too much change in a short period of time, to massive backlash, and now they have no progress ever being made to change their games. And that game in particular is Advanced Warfare, which is a COD game that in my opinion was actually quite fun to play, had a really good story, and is all round a pretty decent gunplay system. And as much hate as it got for its loot boxes,
I don't remember if I played Advanced Warfare. I don't think I did.
The skins that you were able to obtain were also pretty cool. The issue for this game is that they chose to jump straight from a boots on the ground Call of Duty that was gritty to exosuits that allowed you to dash mid-air with vibrant colours. This is the Assassin's Creed Syndicate to Origins jump that failed spectacularly with COD.
Really?
And the reason why I'm saying this is that with both franchises, people wanted change. And for some reason, it always blurs out of everyone's memory that at the time, the people were whining and complaining so much that they wanted...
Well, people are always whining and complaining. To be fair,
wanted something different in that the genre was getting stale, so Activision did exactly that. Now, does this mean that it was a smart move? Definitely not. This is what happens when you effectively take someone out of their lovely, nice sauna and dunk just their head into the ice bath.
That is a fantastic analogy. Yeah, I mean, anytime I talk to anybody about the jetpack era of Call of Duty, it's always met with mixed reviews. They either liked it or they absolutely hated it. It was stupid. I mean, me personally, I mean, if I were to go back and play each of them, honestly, I would probably like it because I'm just that type of person that likes that stuff. But when you talk about the entirety of the community, the entire community would probably have like a different opinion, or at least mixed opinions.
Will overwhelm their senses and make them never want to go near that ice bath ever again. After the release of this game, we saw them go to Black Ops 3, which was interesting to see, as at the time, people didn't necessarily think the game was that amazing, but in the modern landscape of things, people look back on this one in particular with a lot of joy. Then you were hit across the face with Conor McGregor and a more extreme version of...
What the fuck? Conor McGregor was in a fucking Call of Duty campaign? Where was I for this?
Advanced Warfare with Infinity Warfare. And then we went back to
Oh
a
my
similar sort
God.
of style as Black Ops
That shit is so funny. I had no idea.
3 with Black Ops 4. The reason for this massive error for Call of Duty is that they chose to jump to a different gameplay style without letting people dip their toes in the water at all. They wanted to be loud and make a statement with Advanced Warfare. If I was Activision, they should have released something like Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4 as the first ever game to introduce these mechanics, and then eventually build up to the likes of Advanced Warfare. This would have allowed them to slowly build people up to this idea of this extreme exosuit game, but instead they fumbled the gameplay bag massively.
I remember watching like some MLG matches of like all those Call of Duties, and to be fair, the MLG matches were fantastic to watch as like an audience experience thing. It was just so cool to see people like jumping around, flying around. It was awesome. But I can understand when the casual player can try to jump into a match and not enjoy it. I completely understand that.
This led to them backing away entirely and going boots on the ground from here on out ever since 2019. Which in my opinion is good to see that they listen to feedback, but it is also kind of sad to see, as it means that they're scared to step out of line and ever consider pushing a boundary of the genre at all. With games like Titanfall no longer being a big deal, games like Halo fumbling around ever since their release, and Battlefield being left in the bin, and it means that you're now left with next to no options for your casual FPS game for many normal people. And all of this comes from other companies screwing up, leaving COD as the last standing player, and COD being pushed around by its consumer base so much that they're now too scared to stand out of line. So,
well, COD being too afraid to make any gameplay changes. I mean, well, the last gameplay changes, or at least major gameplay changes, happened in 2019. You know, like you said, when they transitioned back to boots on the ground. But what kind of emergent player behavior happened? Well, you got slide canceling. And then you had bunny hopping, and then you always had like drop shotting in a lot of these old Call of Duties. That was always there. Like jump out from a corner into like a drop shot. That tech was always there, but it's just more so now with like the bunny, like you go into tactical sprint, you jump and then you preserve your momentum to like get a couple more hops, and then you go into like a crouch a drop shot mode or whatever, or you slide out, or the slide canceling.
So yes, gameplay changes can make an awful experience for the players, as shown off with Advanced Warfare's massive jump. But it also can be a big issue when they're so shy to ever make any changes that every single year the game simply doesn't change. You leave the genre out to dry and it will become stale and boring, and it will then pose the question as to why do these games suck now? And the answer to the gameplay issue is they're too scared to try anything new. This brings us beautifully into the next part of this video, which is companies making bad choices which led to them becoming irrelevant to the modern discussion and disenfranchising players.
Oh, let me hear.
The reason a lot of this conversation is around Call of Duty is because it's by far the most popular franchise to date in the shooter genre.
Yeah, as far as like brand awareness goes, you could talk to like normal people and they know the name Call of Duty.
Yes, we have some amazing games that aren't just Call of Duty, but we used to have far more competition to the casual FPS marketplace on consoles, which is a big area of gaming, and I understand a lot of people play on PC and don't like that I talk about mainly console-esque stuff. That's because I am both a PC and console player. I can see these issues on both lines.
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
To be honest, even on PC, most people that I know don't really consider playing Halo that much anymore. Battlefield.
Oh, well, yeah, because Halo is primarily like a console game. Like the core mechanics were designed for Xbox. The game itself is designed for console.
That much anymore, and they'll always opt for Call of Duty.
Battlefield, I think Battlefield was also designed on console. And then like all these games, like was it Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, these are like the console FPS games. I think a lot of those games were designed primarily with the thought that most of the players that are going to be playing this are going to be on controllers. That is probably the main thought process behind why the decisions that they make.
That lack of competition that I mentioned, Call of Duty is now the game on top of the mountain, but it has nobody else left to help them climb back down. What I mean by this weird analogy is that a franchise like Battlefield helped breed competition. It allowed each company to prove that they were better in some way, and for a long...
Yeah, because back in the day when I played Battlefield, the main thing that I thought of when somebody said the word Battlefield was vehicle combat. It's like Call of Duty plus bullet ballistics and vehicle combat. I was like, oh, okay. I could just jump in a chopper, a tank, or something like that, or a jet, and do all this like cool ass shit. Fuck yeah, that sounds fun. That's my initial thought process of like what defines Battlefield.
Long time that war waged on. However, over time, due to terrible choices made by EA and DICE, we've seen a massive drop-off with the primary competition to Call of Duty. My view of the casual shooter market is that people who complain so much about COD and love Battlefield need to realise that COD didn't have to change very much to keep itself afloat, and really, Battlefield didn't need to do too much either, but they chose to make some options with whatever the hell Battlefield 5 was, and 2042 that then caused it to drown.
Bro, when this game first came out, you probably would have seen like fucking 5 like hover ships crawling up the side of this thing. There would have been like 3 or 4 crawling up this side. There'd have been like some more crawling up this side, and like 10 more on each other side of this building or whatever. And then people would be spawning in like the hover ships right on top just to like hover off of this thing. The initial impression also matters, and unfortunately 2042 did not have a very good initial impression. And with a lot of casual gamers, the initial impression is what matters the most. If your game sucks on day one, then it in their mind it's gonna suck for the rest of the time that it's out until the next one comes out. And it's only gonna be that like hardcore core audience that'll keep up with the game and be like, oh, the game got a little better this patch. The game got a little better this patch, and like so on and so forth.
When you go against your target audience in a simple way like gameplay, like we saw within the rocky releases of Call of Duty during the late 2010s, or you decide to do some questionable antics into pushing things into your video games like Battlefield did, and not fixing very core features of the game that were...
Oh yeah, this was like a huge issue when this Battlefield came out. Like people were like all fucking butthurt that like, oh, there's a woman and she's disabled. Why does she like have like a combat job or whatever the fuck? I think this is like stupid.
Affect the experience of really simple things like loadouts. These things will slowly eat at your player base until zero interest is left to continue playing them. This brings me back to Assassin's Creed. For as much as Valhalla was the most profitable game within the franchise, which I'll note, as I've stated in other videos just to clear up this, which is that they've never released their sales records of actual game units, so most likely that 1 billion number they throw around is from microtransactions, but that is not for this video. That game did something to Ubisoft to go out of their way to give some money to fund a small, close-to-home experience for the franchise with the likes of Mirage. If you want to see my critique for that game, make sure to go check it out. I pretty much end up explaining how I don't believe Ubisoft truly understand what their players like. But yeah, make sure to go check that out. The reason that I bring this up is that a lot of people believe that Ubisoft don't care in any way about their core fans of the original games. But clearly, something exists that made them realize that to an extent, maybe making something...
Bro, I had no idea that you could actually get a mount in Assassin's Creed. I stopped playing Assassin's Creed a while ago, but this fucking mount looks insanely cool. I don't know if this is like something that you have to buy or whatever. Whatever, regardless, this just looks cool. Just being like this dude in like black cloak, black like feathers and shit. You got all your axes right there, and you're riding like this like armored horse with spikes and shit. This is just a cool ass image. Is that like where modern like Assassin's Creed is right now?
your old fans was a good idea after you've pummeled them into the ground over and over? The simple answer is money, but the other is that your core fans are the ones who are going to be the customers for every single game you release on launch. And when all you do is constantly pummel them down until they don't have any money left because you've released terrible game after terrible game, people will stop caring, and the relationship that you've created of goodwill over the years will be fractured. And this is what we've seen within the FPS market for many years now. And it's why Battlefield fumbled around for so long after
the monetization of FPS games. Yeah. I don't know. You'll probably get into it.
Battlefield 4. And also, I actually do think the World War I Battlefield was a really cool game. It was just a bit sad that it didn't get enough traction that I believe it deserved to get. Battlefield 4 is considered the last really good Battlefield. A lot of that comes down to...
Oh yeah, is this like the main one where like people, the main shtick was like getting a jet, jumping off, sniping someone, and then getting back in the jet? I think, isn't that like the main thing for this one?
Not giving your players what they want and not doing it in a way that is actually reliant on being good with your player base, which is sad to see.
The monetization.
The biggest hot topic outside of cheating that everyone mentioned to me was the rampant monetization that is the FPS genre as a whole, and in general, the modern gaming marketplace. And again, if you want to add another video...
Okay. This might be a hot take, but this is probably an issue, but not for the reason that you think it is, for me.
Video to your list to check out. My Gaming is Dead video talks about this exact topic in depth about the whole gaming market instead of just FPSs, but for now we're going to sit and talk about FPS. As a lot of you did say that this was a big issue, and I couldn't agree more. I've spoken a lot about COD in this video, so I'm going to give them a little bit of a break, even though they are one of the biggest offenders of this issue. But I'm going to spend some time and focus on Bungie, as they're a company that over many of the long years that I loved Destiny and eventually built up a love-hate relationship with the game, means that I've got a decent amount of knowledge about the way that they work, the way that they kind of put messaging across to players, and yeah, everything about that. So let's talk about them for a moment. For a long time...
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with like all of the monetization that goes along with Destiny. I mean, I could probably open up Steam right now and click on Destiny 2 and see like the long list of DLCs that go along with the game, but I don't really want to do that. So yeah.
When Bungie started adding more microtransactions into their game, the fall guy by the community at large was that it was money-hungry Activision. However, once Activision and Bungie...
Well, just for shits and giggles, let's do that. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Destiny 2. Oh my god, it's free! Oh my god. Let me see. Where's the... Okay. Content for this game, Destiny 2. A Final Shape, Annual Pass, 100. Destiny 2, Final Shape. Final Shape and Annual Pass. Okay, $100. Final Shape, $50 if you just want to buy that one. Lightfall and Annual Pass, 100. Lightfall just by itself. Ooh, it's on sale right now. Season 2. Season of the Wish Silver Bundle. 15. Or wait, see all. Wait, showing 1 of 5 of 14. Wait a sec. What? This is, what? The Witch Queen. It was $30, but it's on sale. This thing. What is this? Oh, it's in library. Did I buy this? I must have bought this. On sale. Was $30. I think I bought some of these. Oh, wait. Oh, this is the only one I have in the library. Okay. Yeah, that's just probably it was an on sale bundle thing. Okay. $30, but it's on sale. Shadowkeep, $25, but it's on sale. Whatever this is, $30. Forsaken Pack, $20, but it's on sale. 30th Anniversary Pack, $25, but it's on sale. Triumph Silver Bundle. So this is like the money, the real money to game money conversion thing, $15, and then Throne of whatever. Oh, add all DLC to cart for $428.86. Yeah, that's a lot of shit for the game. But yeah, that's I mean, the game's been around like around for many years, so ugh, I don't know, man. I'm probably gonna end up agreeing with you on a lot of this shit.
Cut ties, the issue didn't go away, and if anything, it became worse. This now means that the goalpost has been shifted from Activision bad to Bungie needs the money to stay afloat, and over time, we went from a game that only had DLC as its main other type of monetary content outside of the original purchase to the game, to a free-to-play model that took all of the old content away because, you know, they'd already made their money's worth from it, had its own in-game currency that allowed you to buy emotes, and slowly became somewhat pay-to-win via cycles of events where you were able to just spend currency in-game. They allowed you to progress their version of a battle pass in the form of season.
Wait, I have to see something. Steam charts. I can't spell charts. Destiny 2. This is just on Steam. Well, it's not doing half bad. You got about like 90K just on Steam. So then you add console in there. What? That's another what? Like 100 or maybe 200. So maybe altogether 300,000. That's not terrible. All-time peak of 300K on Steam. Like, it's not doing terrible, but the criticism is probably justified.
Season passes and then get gear earlier than others, which, yes, you can argue that because you can unlock it within the game, it's not necessarily entirely pay to win, but when you're able to pay to get to something quicker, that is pay to win, definitely. Yeah. I don't think
it's instead of pay to win, it's pay for convenience. Yeah, which just feels shitty for the people that don't like I don't know, like pay for convenience shit to me is like it's dumb. Like why would the game improve? Because when you have like when the game is incentivized to inconvenience the player, it makes playing the game just not fun. And all the things you're doing seem menial and insignificant. It's just dumb.
Anyone can argue the case against that. This means people have felt jaded and people feel as if they're being used a little bit for their money, which is understandable because that is what a lot of these companies are doing. This does all stem from the game changing to a free-to-play model, in my opinion, which I personally disagree with, as it feels like every single company are just hopping on this bandwagon that believing that they can just survive off of the handouts and whales who pay for these games, instead of just making a good product that people are willing to purchase. I've said for a long time in plenty of videos, and many of you disagree with me on this, which is that I'm not anti-microtransactions, but I'm anti-money-hungry tactics and moves to make the player feel as if they are not able to get away with just playing the game for free because they're missing out on so many other things, which many companies do. Both Call of Duty and Destiny will promote to you every time you launch up the game the products that they've got for sale or the new thing that they've just released immediately and just keep telling you about it over and over. Halo Infinite at launch is a prime example of awful money-hungry tactics being used.
Yeah, I just don't even play Halo, but I have no idea the monetization scheme that it undergoes. I do, isn't it to my knowledge like the multiplayer Halo is like free to play and then all the shit just costs money?
Not only did they charge you for individual items that you couldn't use together as they were different overall armor types, these were all things.
Yeah, like one armor type, it's like, let's say you want to buy the color red. You could only buy red for that armor type instead of buying red and having it on all the different armor types. What a meme of a game, dude.
That in previous games were just an actual feature of the game that you could get while playing the game, but instead they decided to say screw you and make you pay for all of it instead. This issue is a massive deal within this genre, as not only is this something that's taken over the FPS market by storm, but the market is also incredibly well known for having a massive younger demographic for its player base. Which means
when your target market is young people, you kind of have like this clashing of things that happen. So let's say you're a company, you need to make money. Okay, who is more likely to have money, an older person or a younger person? Well, probably an older person, because they've simply just been living longer. They probably have a job. They have a little bit of more, what do you call it? Uh, the, what the fucking not idle money or whatever. They have more expendable income. A young person could or could not have a job. It's completely random on whether that person does or doesn't have any money. So if your target market is like young people, well then you're sitting there struggling to try to milk the player base that already doesn't have any money. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know, weird to me.
These tactics are being used at mass on groups of younger people who have not gone through full development cycles just yet. They don't know what is right and wrong to be purchasing. They don't know the true value of money. They're just going to go and beg their parents for something, and even at times go out of their way and lie about it to get these things that truly don't matter.
Yeah.
And it's all done because these...
Oh yeah, because, I don't know, like some people will say, like, if you have like a group of friends and your friends have money and you're like a young person, you could be more persuaded by your friends to be like, oh, my friend has this and that, whatever gold skin on their gun or on their character or whatever. So you being a default skin Andy, what are you going to do? You're going to feel like shit because you ain't got no skin to put on your gun or your character. So then what do? You have to pressure your parents to give you some money so that you can buy a skin to not look like a dweeb in the video game. So yeah, that's what you do.
These companies know how to get people to want to purchase. Microtransactions haven't hurt the gaming world because they simply exist, but because companies seem to come across as caring far too much about them, over fixing issues within the games themselves, and building long-term experiences that players want to work with. One thing that I want to spend some time talking about, and that you guys mentioned to me a little bit, but I think is a bigger issue than many have actually pointed out, is competitive play and how games are simply being pushed away from being a fun, casual experience to a overly try-hard and competitive world.
Okay, before we get into the competitive aspect, so to touch on monetization again. So in the beginning, or like the beginning of that session, I said I was probably going to disagree, but not for the reason you think. I would agree with you in that a lot of modern game, if any game, like modern FPS game, has any sort of pay for power type of like a money model in them, like pay for this gun does more damage. Or in the case of Destiny, like you said, if you can pay for certain guns and the guns do more damage, well then, yeah, that's fucking pay to win, and that's pretty shitty. But, oh, you can earn them eventually just by playing the game. Well, with how, like, I don't know, I would imagine the raids go, maybe not. If a raid just comes out and then they come out with, like, some, like, package deal in Destiny where it's like, oh, pay for these guns are really good, but you can eventually earn them in the game. If on day one a raid comes out, what is, you know, a lot of those expansions were like, what, $30-40 or whatever. You're gonna pay for the expansion, all right? You're gonna go into the store, and with your previous knowledge, you know that these guns that come from the store are really good. So if I'm going into the raid, I want to go in with my best chances possible of beating the game. So I'm gonna go and buy those guns right out of the store. So boom, there's $40, and who knows how much like the guns are, like what, $10-20 or whatever. Yeah, you want those guns on day one to finish the raid. Yeah, that's pretty shitty. But I would say save Destiny. A lot of other, what do you call it? Like monetization schemes for FPS games. You're not gonna find a lot of pay to win things in those games, because if they were, they would not be popular. FPS prides itself on, to some level, of competitive integrity and the genre just being a more skillful genre than like almost any other single player game outside like the speedrun community of that game. And if like, let's say an FPS game were to come out, and then in that FPS game, there's like a store, you know, like I said, but you can pay for a gun that does more damage. and then people are just like, oh wow, this game's just pay to win, fuck it. At least in America, that game would die within like a week or so, like not even. Like the player count would like spike up, and then the next day it would spike back down because everyone would be making YouTube videos. This game's pay to win. Don't pay it any mind. Fuck this game. So on and so forth. The reason that a lot of like modern day FPS, or at least the relevant ones, are still around is because they don't have a lot of pay to win. The thing is that their monetization scheme when it comes to cosmetics and progressing, your account are shitty. People, like at least the casual audience, really enjoy, and I'd put myself in this audience too, really enjoy progressing and earning rewards that like you get for completing just like in-game things. Like back in the day, like in Call of Duty, everyone was grinding for like Red Tiger on all their guns, or what was it? Those little name tags with like the skulls and shit for like the kill streaks, calling like 100 nukes or some shit like that. And yeah, there's simply just a lack of just account progression that feels shitty. And and it also goes along the line of, what do you call it? If you have skins in a game that you can earn, and you also have a store that you can buy skins from, the store skins are always going to be like more badass because the developers are going to be more incentivized to put in more time and effort into those skins because people are paying real money. And if you pay real money, you want to have that item look absolutely sick. You don't want to have to grind like a couple thousand hours or whatever, or some challenges in order to unlock the cool thing. One of my favorite experiences from old Call of Duty days was Call of Duty Ghosts. They used to have this little app that you downloaded, and you got in a clan, and then you and your clanmates had to capture these points. And at the end of the season, there was like a set of skins that you could get for like your character and your gun. And it was like, if you want to capture the point, it's like win like 30 TDMs, win 30 dominations, win 30 capture the flags. And then me and my clanmates, we all did that shit. And then we would always try to go for like the number one spot. And that was like simply an in-game thing that we tried to do to always get that little gold skin or whatever. And it was like so fun. I couldn't imagine today like going back and playing that game and buying that skin just outright from a store. There's no incentivization for players to put in time and effort to earn just like really cool skins in the game, or whatever game you want.
Over the last few years, gaming in general has been tilted towards more competitive play. This could be for many reasons, but the one that sticks out most obviously to all of us is the internet.
Okay.
And content creation. By being good at a game, it allows you to get some form of social status and possibly become someone who can earn money from this part of the world, which is incredibly hard. You see this all the time in pretty much every single game you can play. For people not calling out players who are top fragging even if they make a blatantly bad choice because they're too scared of them just ditching their lobby, or just giving someone a ton of praise that is the most they've probably received out of anything they've ever done in their life. Everything from the ability to play a ton when you're a kid through to the social praise can cause games to become way more serious and way more competitive because both of those will go up with time.
Yeah.
We've seen this push towards...
Okay. I would say that FPS as a genre is just competitive in it of itself. Trying to put a reticle on a person, keeping it there, and, clicking or like squeezing the trigger is hard enough for most people. Period. It is what it is.
More competitive play over the last decade, with games coming out that put competitive modes as the forefront of their games. A personal anecdote for me is Overwatch. I had a group of friends that absolutely loved playing Overwatch when it first came out, but in the end, I had to stop playing with them because they would take the game so seriously and go over the top because they want...
I would say play with people that have a similar mindset as you. if your friends are want to play the game one way, but you want to play the game another way, I mean, as far as Overwatch goes, there are like alternative things. Like you can still play with your friends, but I mean that's why there's like a public match, you know, for you to just play like random casual games with them. And Overwatch has like, isn't that, don't they have like casual and like little party modes that you can do in Overwatch? Like I think the implementation of a ranked mode is good because it separates the people that want to take the game seriously away from the people that want to play the game casually. I think the casual people should have more than just public version of their favorite game. You should have like the developers should be smarter and more innovative to figure out, hey, we don't just want to have like the regular mode, but just not ranked version of it. Come out with some different modes for your shooting game. Like remember Halo, like 1, 2, and or not 1, but like 2 and 3 with Forge. There were so many different modes that you could like create and come up with, download, upload different modes of the game to play, and they were just for fucking shits and giggles. It was just fun to mess around. But a lot of the developers for these FPS games, they simply don't have a lot of like party modes for their games anymore, which is kind of silly. Because if you have like ranked, you have casual mode. Where's all the party modes? Where's all the casual fun stuff that you can do? I mean, if you look at Halo 2, what was it? Halo 2 or 3? There was no ranked mode in Halo 1. All right. So what was it? Halo 2 that had the ranked mode? Weren't there different versions of the ranks of like ranked mode in Halo 2? I'd have to go back and see. There was like ranked TDM, ranked like territories, ranked capture the flag. There were a bunch of different ranked modes, even just by like, you know, early FPS days or whatever. So, I mean, yes, there's more like FPS games than just Halo, but Halo was like a lot like the first FPS game that people remember, and I just use that as an example. If you go back and look at Halo 2, like a lot of their modes were just ranked mode. So even early FPS games were really competitive. It's just modern day FPS games, they don't have a lot of creativity in terms of like the things that you can do in their game.
Wanted to make sure that they were winning in every single game, and they took every single game as if it was the most incredibly important thing in their life every single game. And as much as it is a meme, getting older, it's something that does come to mind way more now.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
A lot of FPS titles that come out today don't seem like they're aiming for the casual demographic, the same way games from the 2000s and early 2010s did. When we were
I would say the opposite. I would say modern shooting games cater more to casuals than they do competitive. But let's keep going.
younger, we might have taken games a bit too seriously. I may have been one of those kids that broke a bit too many Xbox 360 controllers.
Same. I'm right there with you. I have broken a couple controllers. Not as much as my other buddy whenever he played Tekken. All right. I'd have to like dip, dive, duck, and dodge every which way if I ever beat my buddy in Tekken. All right.
Controllers. But we were actually having fun. We didn't care about the score of the game, and we didn't necessarily care if someone was genuinely better than us. If anything, we would say, wow, like, we have just been destroyed by this really good player, instead of lashing out and acting as if it was this awful experience, and as if I had to be the best to ever come close to them. It was nothing like that. And then obviously the fact that in modern day, if someone is better than you at the game, just accuse them of cheating. That's typically how it ends up.
Yeah, they're cheating. They're walling. They got aimbot. Fuck them.
Fundamentally, the reason why
you go in, maybe your game has a report system, report them, gameplay disruption, get out of here.
Why I think this is an issue within this entire genre is that it sucks the fun out of the game and makes it way too serious. Instead of people having fun and enjoying the game, they focus on just getting their jump slides perfect so that the next time they come across another player, they can crush them immediately. Does this mean that I don't think you should take games seriously if you genuinely enjoy it? No, of course not. If you actually enjoy it, fair enough. But I guarantee you, many of you will relate to this idea that you're sat there playing a game, and I would argue this 5x's when it comes to the competitive genre, that you're sat there for maybe 4 hours, and you think you're enjoying yourself at times, but really, you're not having that much fun. You'll play a game of CS that lasts like 80 to 90.
Well, here's the thing. CS doesn't have any like alternative like casual, well, I think they had to have a casual mode, but like they don't have anything else besides this. Like they have team deathmatch or whatever, but like there's no like party modes, like no fun things to do besides with their like high time to kill fucking game. There's nothing else to do. It's like do ranked mode, do casual, what is this, casual 5v5, or just TDM. That's it. Where's all the other modes to have fun in?
90 minutes, and you maybe smiled twice, and overall, all you've done is increased your anxiety levels.
True, though.
But one part to finish up on is to talk about the topic that heavily links to why people take games so seriously these days, which is the increased optimization of skill-based matchmaking. Or
Oh, yeah.
People think. The reason I
Oh yeah, okay, maybe you're gonna touch on skill-based matchmaking. Yep, that is a big monkey wrench in the machine of FPS games.
pose that as more of a question is because skill-based matchmaking has been around for pretty much over a decade, if not since the beginning of the entire genre's existence. Probably not to anywhere near the same level as it is today, but it has...
Okay, I'm going to say this. People that play the ranked version of their game are okay with playing with a shitload of skill-based matchmaking. If you're playing anything besides ranked, people do not like skill-based matchmaking. Get it out of there.
Has been around for a very, very long time. I do believe this again plays into this issue of the casual shooter being pushed into the market of the competitive types, as let's say you're a casual player and you're just being completely dominated, you'll probably be just disheartened and not want to be bothering to even play, or you may just try hard so that you even stand a chance within your skill bracket. It doesn't allow you to just have fun or do whatever you want with your time. It will force you to have to be locked in and only focus on that game in that moment. However, the reason that I do pose this as a question is that I believe that this is an issue, but nothing close to the big issues around the games we love as people think. It's really easy to point to this as an issue as to why these games have been ruined ever since, but it's always put across as some weird modern invention within these games when really skill-based matchmaking has been around for a very long time, but with players getting better on average and systems getting smarter at...
Okay, it's multiple prongs. Players overall are getting better. Like pick your favorite game. The general player base is slowly getting better. And here's a question: with the implementation of crossplay, is aim assist getting stronger or weaker with each game title that comes out? If aim assist is getting stronger, wouldn't that mean that players are getting worse? Or likewise, the reverse. If a game comes out and it's got like a weaker aim assist, are players, that would mean that players are getting better and they don't need it as much, right? So I don't know. That's like a question I would just ask.
Pairing people with similar skills against each other, it's become way more pronounced. I do think skill-based matchmaking has gone a tad too far though. I'd personally prefer a system that attempts to make the overall teams of a match more equally balanced, not necessarily every single player being equally skilled as one another. The reason why I mention this is because...
But what do you mean by that? Like overall, like is overall balance for teams, but individual skill is like, well then how do you... The only way that you could measure that is like skill-based matchmaking, because you would need some sort of stats that nobody seems to know anything about any system of any game. You can only speculate on what the stats are. I don't, and it's like you can tone. It's like skill-based matchmaking is like a knob or a slider that you can like pump up a lot, or you can tone it down a little bit. I mean, even with like within like all the relevant FPS games today in public matches, there's still like some level of skill-based matchmaking before. And if there's a lot of complaints then whatever those dials are currently set at seem to not be the issue. Or they seem to be the issue. It's just they're toned in a maybe at a too high a level. So either turn it off completely or tone it down, I would say.
It would blend the players that take the game really seriously and the ones who just want to have a casual experience and not feel as if every game they need to try hard. Because
I just simply don't think that you can blend the two. I just don't think so. Like the only way you can blend those two types is if you take a like party mode of your favorite shooting game and create like some wonky mode that nobody is good at. That's literally the only way that you can blend those two things together. Because if you take your favorite FPS game and you slam like tryhards in there versus like casuals, this is going to be like some sort of imbalance in terms of like player enjoyment for both sides.
Every single player they go up against is absolutely dominating them.
Yeah.
It allows some players to become...
Yeah, it's fun to dominate. It's not fun to be dominated.
Total sweats and attempt to be the best in the lobby and on top of the scoreboard. But it also means the players that are decent but they aren't amazing at the game can enjoy themselves without getting bored or feeling as if the game just wants them to be zoned in every given second of when they're playing. I believe the modern FPS market has way too much of a slant towards optimized play and the competitive scene. I used to enjoy and...
Well, I think that's only because if you're playing... honestly, I think that's Warzone's fault. There's no like ranked Warzone. Maybe there is, but when Warzone first came out, I mean, that's what my initial thought was, like, where's like the ranked mode or whatever? And it left a lot of like if you play Call of Duty, you either played casual and you just grinded gun skins, or you played, I mean, it took like modern Call of Duty a while to have like a ranked mode in it finally, I think. You either grinded like the ranked mode. So you either grind gun skins, you grind ranked mode, or you grinded Warzone. And Warzone didn't have a ranked mode, so all the tryhards that couldn't cut it in like the upper top tier echelon of whatever Call of Duty rank mode, they just went into Warzone and did that for a while. Which makes it not fun for everybody else.
Still do to an extent playing games like CSGO and R6, but these games are designed from the ground up to be competitive, so the players know what sort of mindset they're getting into. Games like Call of Duty, Halo and Battlefield were always the casual shooter that people were able to play and compete within without there being this...
I mean, I still say Halo 2 and 3, with all of their different types of competitive ranked modes, those were still competitive by nature. Like it, you know, every different mode had a ranked version of it. So, I mean, yeah.
It's over the top, you know, try hard experience in every single game. The games felt as if they were for everyone and they weren't trying to push.
I think the Call of Duty campaigns were for everyone. The multiplayer, if you wanted to grind gun skins, you could just grind gun skins and do that in COD. Much the same way in Halo, you had like a campaign that everybody could do. You had different difficulties. And there was like a non-ranked version of the multiplayer, and there was a ranked version of the multiplayer. Battlefield, I didn't play a lot of I played some. I didn't play a lot. I don't remember like the different types of mode that were in Battlefield. I remember playing like a couple of campaigns, and the campaigns were, you know, awesome.
People out because they feel as if they need to try hard every match. My personal reason for why I don't enjoy the FPS marketplace anymore has nothing really to do with the flaws themselves that I've relayed in this video, and much more to do with my anger and frustration. The FPS and competitive genre as a whole exacerbates these issues for me massively. So I've chosen, after trying to get back into this genre very recently and mildly getting addicted to CS2, to give it up, put my hat up, and just accept that, you know, as much as I do want to get into these games and I want to enjoy them, the anger that it causes is not worth it. But again, that is for another video, and maybe it's one that I'll explore in the future. Anyway, with that all being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm really sorry that this was late. It's late by a week. I went away to Amsterdam, and if you want to know or ask me any questions about the trip, whatever, make sure to come join the Discord, and obviously come join the Patreon if you want to support the channel directly. And yeah, it's the case that hopefully I'm now going to stick on my every 3-week streak. I'm looking forward massively to the next video, as it's going to be far more personal and far more linked to the games that I love deeply. So with that all being said, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Like I said, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you love video essay content like this. Make sure to leave a like on this video and join the Patreon if you want to support the channel directly. You can support for as little as, I believe, $1 a month. I believe that's how the conversion works. But also, if you would like to get early access to other stuff, you can also check out the Exiled Ones tier as well. With that all being said, make sure to leave a like, do subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.
Nice. Bro, this is a good ass video. I like the video essay styles of like when people do the video essays. I think it's I don't know, I just enjoy them as more of a conversation piece than anything to, you know, agree, disagree, and not necessarily what you think, but why you think the things that you do. But yeah, I thought this was a fantastic video, dude. 100%, and I want to see more. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one, all right? See ya.